That's Leslie.
And that's Kristi.
And we're going in deep.
Yay! So Happy New Year Part 2. We did our first episode was about goals. And now this is so you figure out what your goal is.
Mm-hmm.
And now we need to figure out how you make it happen. So what's the plan?
Because a goal without a plan is a wish.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, that's like all it is. If you don't have a plan to get there, you're just wishing for it. And we aren't going to do that. We are going to work for our goals.
Yay. Yay. Okay. So what is your first tip?
My first tip, and this is something I have, as I have been setting out my plan for this quarter, is I'm trying to be realistic, but also push myself. Like, how much can I realistically do in a day if I actually go down and work the hours that I'm supposed to work? So I want to make it hard enough that I actually have to put some effort in, but not so hard that I'm setting myself up to fail.
Yeah, and I will just say this. Y'all don't know that, but Kristi and I have had a load of technical problems this morning, and as we've been trying to record. And so we've spent hours now recording this. And so I think that's one of the things you have to you have to put in some wiggle room because things will go wrong. And I had a big goal for December to edit this whole book. And then my computer crashed so badly that I had to go to the shop for 3 weeks and get a new hard drive, which meant also I have to upload everything. So those things that you don't expect, you have to give yourself some space for because they are going to happen. Technology, family, whatever it is, they're going to happen. So you need to give yourself some space.
Yes, give yourself some space. And I think that part of the being realistic about, but also pushing yourself. So it's like, if I just said, okay, it's a full work day for me, I will be working my full hours that I have. And if I only have a goal of writing 1,000 words or whatever, I'm going to do nothing but sit and scroll Instagram for the rest of my workday.
Okay.
You need some wiggle room, but you also need to fill your space.
Yes, absolutely.
Because for me, at least, if there's not something that's supposed to fit there, I will fill it with nonsense.
Okay. So we're talking about word goals because we're writers and we set word goals generally, even if it's editing. Yes. I'm thinking I'm going to try to edit this many pages or this many chapters. So I guess the next thing is how do you know how much to do each day in order to meet your goal at the end?
So I count back from my deadline. When do I want to release a book? And then it's okay, if I want to release the book on this date, then formatting needs to be done by this date. And that means editing needs to be done by this date. And I walk it backwards. And then from wherever I'm at, it's okay, I need to write this many words a week in order to get this to my beta readers in time, if that's where I'm at. And notice that I said a week, not a day, because I think that's really important. If you're working on something creative, it's one thing if you're okay, I want to answer all my emails in a day, something that's more concrete, you can set that by day. But I think if it's something that's more creative, like getting words down, you need even more wiggle room. So I set my word count by week because I have days where I can write 2,000 words. And then I have days where I'm 250, go me.
Absolutely. And
you've got to have space for that. Because otherwise you don't want to set yourself up to be disappointed.
Right.
You want to win. And, so we had, you read a book that
you told me to read.
I told you to read, yes, that was called Finish by John Acuff. And I had completely forgotten this goal setting tip, but when we were talking about it, you brought it up. And it's one of those things of help you win. So I'll let you share it because you remembered it.
So it's that. So what you do is you make a goal for half of what you think you can do. And that seems crazy. And when I read it in the book, he says you'll end up doing more. You'll
Mhm.
get there and you'll do more. And I was like, that's crazy. It will never work. And then I tried it and it did. And it did. I used it. I wrote a whole, like, it was a book I wrote a while back. I used it like solidly on that book. Like, that was like 2 books ago. And every book since then, I've been like, I sit down to do it. And every time I'm like, this is crazy. It's not going to work this time. And I do it. I still am doing it because it works. It doesn't fail you. I don't know why, but you feel so good too when you write down that on your word. I keep a little sticky notes with my word count on it. I think I might even have them here in the store somewhere. Yeah. Um, so, with my word counts, but that was upside down. So that was really interesting, but it's amazing. It's like when I write it down, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did an extra 500, 1,000,
Yes.
250.
So what she's saying is the idea of is if you say, I want to write 5,000 words a week, that's not what you write down on your goal sheet. You write 2,500 words a week. That's your goal sheet. And so then that transfers down to like, okay, I'm going to shoot for 500 words a day. Well, then on days when you hit 750, look at you knocking it out of the park. Like whereas if you had left it as 1,000 and you only hit 750, then you would not have made it,
Right.
but you feel like you made it. And psychologically that makes you push further the next day. So yeah, I don't know why it works, but it works.
It does work. It's crazy. Yeah. And so, okay, so that's like how we do those like kind of word count things. And then we went to a conference, Kristi and I did, Georgia Romance Writers a couple of years ago.
Yes.
This is something I'm
My,
going
how
to try
time
this year.
flies.
I say I'm going to try it. I'm going to try it today. And
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try it today. We had an author. I cannot remember her name right now. She was great. She was like how to like plan your whole career for the year. And she had this thing called a GANTT chart, GANTT. These letters stand for something. No idea what they are, but
No.
it's a way that people in like other businesses plan their projects and who's going to be working on this and what and that have you. Anyways, she gave us a Google chart. So I'm going to attempt to use hers, but you could make one yourself. Just to kind
There
of
are lots
plan
of
out.
templates online. Yeah.
Oh God, there's so many. You just Google it. I didn't know this Gantt chart thing was
Yeah.
a thing, but apparently people know. So you go out there and you can find it and help yourself get really organized. If you're not a spreadsheet person, which wasn't a spreadsheet person until I started writing, which seems totally backwards. But it is helpful to see it. And I think also, like Kristi was saying, like you don't get like you see that you have the space to do it, but you also see that you don't have the space to do it. Like you can't say
You don't
forever.
have the space to dilly dally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, and she says actually, and this is probably my number one tip because my life is kind of crazy these days, as I'm sure everyone else is as well. Is the first thing you put in is your like time off. The first thing you put the plan for is your time off. Then you plan all your year, your work, what you're going to do.
Yes. So that was one of the things that I wrote down when I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And it was incorporate life. Remember to incorporate your life, because if you have a family vacation happening, guess what you're not going to be doing? Hopefully.
Yeah,
Guess what
hopefully,
you
right?
shouldn't be doing? If you are working all through your family vacation, go back and listen to our episode on boundaries. But like you need to block that in, is that okay, well that's not going to be a 5,000 word week
Right.
because I'm on family vacation that week. So you've got to adjust that accordingly. You've got to take that out of play. And you also have to consider like do your kids have events? Are you going to be shuttling children around? This is maybe more me. Like, is this a day where you're going to be driving children all over creation? Because guess what else you cannot do while you're driving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Work.
Absolutely. Well, and even
And
like
so, yeah, you've got to
sometimes you think
factor
you
life in.
can. Yeah, you can. Sometimes you think you're going to work in the car, you're going to work here, you're going to work there, and if you manage it, maybe call those bonus minutes. But
Yes.
and the reality, I would not include that time in your goal setting
I
process.
used to until like I used to say like, okay, well, I'm going to get this done while I'm waiting for my kids at dance class. But then I'd get there and I'd get into a conversation with some moms, you know, some other people, and people are always more important. You know, people are more important. And so then I didn't get that work done, but I like the idea of calling those bonus minutes. Like if you happen to work outside of your set hours that are dedicated hours, great, but don't count on them.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so we're going to make a plan. We're going to stick to it. In June, we're going to revisit. In 6 months, we're going to revisit how we're doing on our plan for our goals. If you have some great, wonderful tip, like our plan for or shoot for half and get more, we'd love to see that in the comments. So leave us a comment on how you are going to reach your goals. What is your big tip for helping you reach goals? Yay!